What's up, guys? Happy New Year to everyone. Hope everyone is doing great so far. And just wanted to come on today and do a little video to recap the just completed Calypso season in Montserrat. I usually write a recap on my website, Montserrat Spotlight, but I decided to do a video this year just to kind of mix things up a little bit. And so what I plan to do is just sort of recap the Calypso finals, artist by artist, and also maybe touch a little bit on the regional female Calypso show. As we all know, there were a lot of customary artists who didn't participate this year. And even though they weren't there, I must say that I thought the finals were a little better than I expected, to be honest. But obviously, you could still feel the absence of a lot of the veteran Calypsonians. And it's so many of them who skipped out this year, I guess for various reasons. And I kind of jotted down a little note of some of the ones who were missing. And you have, starting with the former Monarchs, of course, you have Bear, 6-time Monarch, Cupid, 4-time Monarch, Candy, 4-time Monarch, Taboo, 1-time Monarch. Then you have other people like Maxine, Trevel, who I think actually retired from the competition, Storm, Rakatang, Iceman and Baptist have been missing for a couple of years, I guess, for religious reasons. And then even a young guy who I thought had a lot of promise. I don't know if he migrated or whatever. Lord Caesar is not there. And the Rod. And even some of the couple of the guys in the diaspora who participated in recent years, like Black Jaguar and even Kenzie, they weren't there. I wasn't there myself because I was busy working on a book. And I had to stay focused on that, and I really wasn't even in a Calypso frame of mind, so to speak, as far as composing anything. So that's why I skipped this year. So it's a shame that so many people skipped out. I think it was mostly a coincidence. Some of the veterans, I have a feeling that some of them may be a little beleaguered according to how they've been placed in recent years, and maybe that's why they skipped out this year. But I can't really speak for them, but that's just my hunch. I had a conversation recently with my good friend Kenneth Fisher Fenton, a Calypso legend in Montserrat. And this guy eats, sleeps, and breathes Calypso. And he and I are always talking about Calypso history and everything. And I spoke with him the other day, a few days after the Calypso finals in Montserrat. And I said to him, where do you see Calypso right now? What do you think is the state of Calypso overall? And his answer to me was very telling. He said to me, and I quote, he said to me, Calypso to me is dying a slow death. But thankfully, I won't be around when it actually dies. And I thought about what he said, and I said, you know what? He's probably right. I just kind of get the feeling that Calypso in recent years has become redundant. It's become repetitive. It's sort of like rearranging furniture in a house. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you might tweak the melody and tweak the lyrics here and there, but it's almost like the same thing. Yeah, you do have a few original Calypsos that stand out, but I just think overall it seems like the creativity and the originality in Calypso is kind of missing. So yeah, I hope Fisher is wrong, and I hope Calypso makes some sort of a revival, but the way it's going right now, I am not too optimistic. Anyway, so now I'd like to get to the Calypso finals in Montserrat, and I want to sort of give a little critique of how the final 10 panned out. Some of the places I agree with, some I did not, and I will sort of go through that in detail. I want to say, first of all, congratulations to Silk for repeating as the Calypso Monarch. I think it was his competition to lose, And he came out for somebody who basically got one shot. He didn't get a chance, obviously, to perform in the semifinals and the eliminations, and basically came out and had one shot. I think he did very well, represented himself well, and deserved the crown. I do think, though, that his two calypsos, I think it was called Only in Montserrat, and the second one was Polytricks. They kind of, just like something I touched on early, these calypsos are starting to become a little repetitive, and I know he's had the same writer over the years, and I kind of get the feeling that this year maybe those songs were a little rushed, you know. I know that Paul Lewis obviously was busy for a majority of the year because he was running for election, so I don't know if maybe he didn't have the time to really put a lot of substance in it, but the songs felt a little rushed. Only in Montserrat, I really love the melody, but I had some issues with the content, the lyrical content. I try not to scrutinize calypsos too much, because if you really, really dissect them, you can find faults in just about any song. But, you know, throughout the song where he's saying only in Montserrat this and this happens, where we have politicians who don't give a whatever, and that's not true. You have bad politicians everywhere. It's not only in Montserrat. I mean, just look in Antigua, look anywhere in the world, we have bad politicians. I think compared to some other countries, our politicians are like Boy Scouts, to be honest. So I don't know if, I'm just saying that to say, I don't know if the premise really, really was accurate. I'll put it that way. But when you have a great messenger like Silk, and a guy who has a great voice like that, you know, and he goes out on stage and he belts out those lyrics, and you know, you have a good arrangement, you have a good melody, sometimes you can overlook these things as a judge, you know? And so this is taking nothing away from Silk. I think he performed well. You know, we're basically at the mercy of whatever material we have, and I think he represented himself well, like I said. So, you know, but I just had a few little quibbles with the premise for Only in Montserrat. The other song about Polytricks, I think, was kind of basic, just talking about the fact, yeah, politicians, some of them are crooked, you know, it happens. So yeah. First runner-up, Bimshaw. I was really, really, really happy for Bimshaw because, you know, he has been performing in the competition, I think, for over 20 years. Not every year, but, you know, he's been out there, and, you know, I think he's a hard worker. You know, we see him around the island, you know, as a sort of a one-man band, playing his guitar, playing his harmonica. He performs at Government House. He performs at all over the place. Sometimes he's even down. He used to be down at the ferry port, greeting passengers as they come off. He works hard, and I think he deserved that first runner-up position. And he's also a good man, and I was very, very happy for him. His main song, I Waste My Ex, wonderful calypso. I'm not sure if he wrote it or maybe he got some help from his brother, Cupid, but it was a really wonderful calypso, and I think was the best written calypso. And why is it the best written calypso? Because it checked all the boxes. It was humorous, it outlined a problem, and most of all, offered a solution. A lot of calypsos don't do that. A lot of calypsos just talk about problems and they never offer a solution. And going back to when we were in school and you had to do an essay for your English class, what was one of the main things is you outline a problem and you offer a solution. You have to give a solution. So that's what this song did, and I think that made it resonate with a lot of people. I also think it was the best social commentary. I know it didn't win, but that's my opinion. I think it was the best social commentary as well. So I'm very happy for Bimshaw. And his second song was pretty good too. But obviously the strong song was I Waste My Ex. Second runner-up, Proclaimer. Proclaimer has finished second runner-up now for 4 years in a row. And they keep saying, people keep saying this guy's gonna be the king one day, he's gonna be the king one day, but he seemed like he's in a rut. And let me tell you why I just want to give my opinion as to why I think he can't seem to cross that hurdle. Now, in the 4 years that he's competed, he's lost to Bear twice and Silk twice. That's nothing to be ashamed of. However, this is my opinion. He's a wonderful, talented young man. One of the things I admire about him is his rendition. His voice control is impeccable. When you listen to him on stage, it sounds just like the recording that he did in the studio. It's really, his voice control is amazing. My problem is I think that the material they're giving him, I think Proclaimer is maybe 21, 22 years old, but when you look at him, he looks even younger. I just think the material they're giving him it's too mature for him. You know, he handles them well, he delivers them well, but I think when you're delivering a calypso on stage, we have to remember that it's a visual. When you're competing, it's a visual art. It's not just about listening to something on the radio. You're looking at somebody. There needs to be some plausibility to it. And when you're giving songs about climate change and about Little House in the Valley and some other kind of really complicated stuff, it just feels bigger than him. It feels too mature for him. So I don't know if maybe his writer can modify the topics a little bit to something that's more suitable for somebody his age. You know? That's just my opinion. That's the way I see it. He's a tremendous talent, and I think he has a bright future. And they say he keeps knocking at the door. Well, I think it's time for him to kick down that door. He's that talented. But I think he's, again, at the mercy of the material that he's being given. And I think it's just some of the topics just feel a little too big for him. Just a little too mature for him. Fourth place was Maggie. One of my favorite people. I think this was her best year. And I'm starting to finally see some passion from Maggie as far as giving her all and even putting some more effort into her presentations and going up there and punching and everything. In previous years, I kind of got the impression that Maggie maybe felt, hey, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to do my best, and then whatever happens, happens. No, you have to go up there with a little fire in your belly. You have to go up there and you should want to win every time you go up there. And so I'm starting to see that little fire in Maggie, and very, very, very happy for her. Like I said, she's one of my favorite people. Fifth place was Daughter of the Soil. Okay. Daughter of the Soil. Dr. Tiffany Skerritt Fleming. Another one of my favorite people. A wonderful, jovial young lady, always in a good mood, and also she's a doctor, which is a noble profession, which I admire. I was a little disappointed, and I'll tell you why. I think, especially her first song, which is about modern day wedding, had a lot of potential. I like the choice of topic. So many female calypsonians often go for what I call the low-hanging fruit, which is women's issues, abuse, gender issues. You know, these are the ones that a lot of female calypsonians usually pick. She got married last year, and I loved the topic. The problem was I just felt like the song was so incomplete. I think she had a great opportunity to inject so much humor into it and so much more substance into that song. You know what I mean? And I think she writes for herself, which is fine, and I admire that. But we all should not be afraid to ask for help. And I think she needs to. I've been saying for years that just like how the Queen Show contestants have chaperones, calypsonians need sort of a chaperone too. You need somebody to advise you. Maybe, hopefully like a veteran calypsonian or somebody who's been involved in music for a long time to advise you. And you run some ideas past them and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they might say to you, listen, that's a good idea, but you need some more work. It needs some, And so I think she missed a great opportunity with that song about modern day wedding. When I heard that song, I thought about a long time calypso by King Obstinate called Short Shirt's Wedding, where it's a really humorous song. If you guys ever have a chance, go on YouTube and look up Short Shirt's Wedding, and you hear all the humor in there. I thought Daughter of the Soil could have, worked on that song a little more and inject some more humor. I love the melody. The melody is nice. you know, where she's pleading to her pastor, asking, what should I do and everything. I love that. The second song, I think it was called In Our Backyard. Here again, I love the melody. I love the refrain, but that song is just lyrically vacant, unfortunately. And then I have a problem with the premise too. I mean, I don't understand the point where she's trying to make in the song. Is she saying that Montserrat is now crime-ridden? Because it's not. Yeah, we might have a few isolated cases here and there, but Montserrat is still one of the safest places on earth. So I'm not sure if she was making a point about Montserrat or the world in general or what. I wasn't sure about that. But I love the refrain, but the song is just vacant. It needs more body. It needs more substance. And so I just think it was another missed opportunity. And you know, she's going to get better, you know, but if I were to give her any advice is to, you know, seek help, you know, talk to people and say, hey, what do you think about this? Whenever you come up with an idea, say, what do you think about this? You know, and she's going to get better. She's still young. And hopefully the best. Like I said, she's one of my favorite people, and I really hope that she comes back stronger next year. Sixth place, I think, was Laser. Yogi Laser, I think, is one of the most underrated Calypsonians. I don't know if maybe because, you know, he's a contortionist and everything, people maybe don't look at him seriously as a Calypsonian, but I think he's very consistent. He has a very good singing voice. He sings about pertinent issues, you know, usually concerning Montserrat and the situation Montserrat is in. And I think he probably has been dealt a bad hand in recent years. I think he's very, very underrated. And so sixth place, you know, I probably might have squeezed him up a little higher, but, you know, I mean, I've seen him finish like lower down in recent years and maybe not even reach the finals, which I think some years he was dealt a bad hand, but I'm happy for him. Another good man too, you know, and I'm happy for him. Seventh place was Dado. I think Dado had what we would call a sophomore slump. He came out last year and did pretty well. And I think this year in the finals, he had a bad day at the office, especially with the first song. It sounded like maybe he was having some voice issues. And listen, we've all been there. It's happened to me too. I mean, I've been, you know what I mean? You maybe stay out a little late the night before or something, and you come the next night and your voice is gone. Or maybe you spend the day getting your props and different things ready, and you're out there up and down talking and everything. You have to make sure that you're fresh come finals night. Even if you have to stay home all day and then come to the park, protect your voice. So I think he had like a bad day at the office. I really love the second song, Give Me More Jamming. I love that song. Life Has No Reverse is a good song too. But I hope Dado comes back strong, just like I do for Daughter of the Soil, comes back stronger next year. You know, all of these young Calypsonians, Proclaimer, Maggie, Daughter of the Soil, and Dado, young, you know, these are the future, and they all of them have bright futures ahead. And I hope they come back stronger next year. Eighth place was Destiny, another young up-and-comer. I love her voice. She has a unique voice. Her voice sounds bigger than her because she's kind of petite, and her voice just sounds bigger than her. I really love her voice and how she projects her voice. And I actually thought she should have finished a little better than eighth place. I heard some people say, oh, well, she doesn't have the Montserrat dialect down packed and all this stupidness. Come on, give me a break. That's ridiculous. Look, whether you can sing, you can sing. And once you're delivering the message and I can understand you, who cares what your accent is? Come on. I don't want to hear anything about no Montserrat accent. You know, it's now she's singing, she's not speaking. So Destiny, hope she comes back again. She was also in the Soca Monarch. I thought she should have placed in the Soca Monarch as well, but the judges saw it differently. That's fine. Ninth place, Ozzy. Ozzy had a few stumbles, and he would admit that. Another one of my favorite people, good guy. I love his passion for Calypso. You know, he's always usually one of the first ones to release his songs, and veteran musician. And, you know, he's had some stumbles a few times. And I must say, you know, one thing people need to realize is that, like, I'm in my 50s. And I find that as I get a little older and you go up and perform, it becomes harder and harder to remember lyrics. You know? Your brain in your 50s is not the same brain you have when you're 25. And so it becomes a little harder to remember lyrics, especially lyrics that you didn't write. I mean, I write my own songs and sometimes I have trouble remembering my lyrics, so I could imagine, you know. So I'm not going to knock him for that. But Ozzy has great passion for Calypso, and I'm sure he's going to be back next year. Probably going to release early again. I love his passion for Calypso. And I thought he had decent songs as well. 10th place was King Natty. I like King Natty, good musician. We know what he's capable of. He's won the crown. Remember Bad Mind, 2016? He won the crown. This year, I don't know what those songs were about, to be honest. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just speaking honestly. I don't know what those songs were about. He has a wonderful singing voice, but those songs just felt like they were sort of like just phrases meshed together. They don't have any kind of cohesion or whatever. And so I think he was fortunate to make the finals in the first place. And so I hope he's not getting to a point where it's like, hey, I'm in the band, I enter every year. All right, here we go again. Let me just throw something together because I'm expected to enter. No, you have to go in there prepared. And to me, if you feel like you don't have good material, just don't enter. That's just my opinion. So that's my recap of the Calypso finals. I want to talk a little bit about the regional female show. Wonderful show, as usual. Those ladies, they bring it, you know. But you know, even in the regional show, I'm starting to see some sort of insipid sort of performances, you know. A lot of the songs kind of sound alike. Yeah, you have one or two that stand out. But I find that a lot of the songs sound alike. A lot of the singers sound alike. I want to see a little more variation. Maybe I'm in the minority with this. I know a lot of people love that show. It was a great show, don't get me wrong. But I want to see a little more variety. I just find that a lot of the singers are sort of mimicking each other now. And the winner was Terry Lyons for the third year in a row. I actually thought that Karine Ashe had stronger lyrics than Terry Lyons this year. But Terry Lyons is just a dynamic performer. And here it goes again. I mentioned earlier that sometimes you could have a performer who is so good that Terry Lyons just totally commands the stage when she goes up there. It's like, this is my stage. I am running things, and here's what I'm going to say. And she's such a tremendous messenger that sometimes you could probably you tend to overlook maybe some of the little flaws maybe in the lyrical content, you know, because she's such a dynamic performer. She's such a dynamic performer that I think as a judge maybe you almost feel a little guilty marking her down. You know what I mean? She's very, very hard to beat, especially in that competition, the regional show in Montserrat. I want to backtrack a little bit. There was one thing I forgot to mention when I was going through the Calypso finals for Montserrat. Some of the Calypsonians have a habit that I don't like. Particularly, and I'm going to particularly talk about Proclaimer. This is just my opinion. And Calypsonians are going to do whatever they want regardless. They don't have to listen to me. But this is just me as a Calypso fan and as an observer looking on. I hate when those Calypsonians end every verse with Lord. Lord. A lot of them, this Lord thing, calling out the Lord. I don't know. You know, if you're going to end a chorus by saying, Lord, what you just said previously had better be strong if you're going to call the Lord's name in vain. Now, I am not a religious fanatic by any means, but what does it add? What does it add by calling out the Lord's name? I'm going to give you an example. There's an old-time Calypsonian named Cypher, right? And Cypher was sort of like, they call him the clown prince of Calypso. So every time he would finish a chorus, he would say, Cypher. Or he would say, you know, ay, 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 you know, something, Cypher. So when he says Cypher, what he's saying is like, yeah, I just said that. I'm endorsing that. It's sort of like putting an exclamation point on that chorus or the verse, whatever, right? This thing with this Lord, 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 calling out the Lord name. Do you think that a judge is sitting there watching you? And the judge said to themselves, you know what? That last verse, I didn't really understand it, but man, when he said Lord, that got me. I'm going to mark him high. No. I just think it's gratuitous, unnecessary. There was a song years ago by Short Shirt called Lamentation. And he actually says Lord in that song. Some of you might remember that song where he's like, let there be happiness in our soul. And the background singer is like, oh Lord, oh Lord. You see, in that case, it's more appropriate because he's calling out to the higher power to come down and heal the earth and heal mankind. So you're actually calling out to the Lord. But if you're singing a regular run-of-the-mill song, why are you calling out the Lord's name in vain? Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I don't like it. Some people might not have a problem with it, but I just wanted to mention that. Anyway, I just wanted to wrap up by giving you some of my awards from the Calypso finals from Montserrat. I mentioned earlier, to me the best social commentary was I Waste Me X by Brimshaw. Most creative song, I Waste Me X by Brimshaw. And I also think it was the best written song. The song to me with the best melody, I really liked Only in Montserrat by Silk. I love that melody. I think it was done by Eddie Prince Jabri, who's a very talented arranger, everybody knows. Love that melody. The problem I have is with the lyrical content, but I already talked about that. And then my favorite song overall from the festival, there are so many to choose from, but I liked that song Give We More by Dado. Give We More jamming. And I also liked, people might be surprised, I really liked that song by Basil in the Soca Monarch, Clear the Way. I liked it, you know? So those two songs jump out at me. But like I said, there were a lot of really good songs. And of course, I Waste My X, I like that song a lot too. So those are some of my awards. Before I go, I have to do a little shameless plug. I got to remind everybody about my book that I co-authored with Francis White, Calypso. You can still get it on Amazon. Unfortunately, the book is sold out in Montserrat. We sent down about 40 copies and they're all gone. They're sold out. And so I might send down some more in time for St. Patrick's. But for now, those who live in the diaspora, you can order the book on Amazon. Amazon UK, Amazon the US, Canada, you can order it. And I guarantee you, listen, we really worked hard on this book and I'm proud of it. And I check it out and I guarantee you, if you love Calypso, there's some great stories in here. I also want to tell people about this book called Summer Baby, which was written by a fellow Monstration, Wendell White. I got to meet him probably about a week and a half ago. I got to actually speak to him on the phone. Had a wonderful conversation with him. He's a wonderful young man. And this book, I read it in almost one sitting. It's that great. I couldn't put it down. It was really, really good. And those of us who grew up in Montserrat, especially before the volcano, can relate to this book. There's so many great stories in here. And also, like, he's a very good writer. And like I say, a wonderful young man. Anyway, folks, that's it for me. Hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday. As I say, Happy New Year again. I hope this year brings you everything that you want. I hope it brings you health, strength, and success. And thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.